to cut the pre-show before the live or the recording goes live on the YouTube channel. And it just turns 1 o'clock here in the Washington, D.C. area, so I am going to hit record and we will get started. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another live event here at WP Studio. Welcome to those of you on YouTube or Facebook who are tuning in. This is a very special webinar because I think I have found a hidden gem in the WordPress world. The reason why it's a hidden gem, and not to be too cynical right off the bat, anybody who builds plugins that are for free almost never get covered by the traditional YouTube video tutorial people because there's no affiliate money on it. Well, when I find something that is just so essential to WordPress, like pods or other plugins that are absolutely free, it seems like there aren't many trainings out there. And when I bring these trainings to you, it can sometimes revolutionize your whole development cycle when you're working with WordPress. All right. Now, I know before we set the stage, I'm actually curious if those of you in the chat, either on Facebook or YouTube, how many of you have never, ever heard of Gutentor? Or maybe you actually thought I had a misspelling in the email that I sent out about this webinar. Maybe you thought I was going to think about Gutenberg, but I ended up writing Gutentor. Well, if you have never seen this, Gutentor is what I'm now calling the almost full page builder solution. That's right. It's an almost full page builder solution, and I will show you how we can kind of get it over the top to be a full page builder solution. We'll have to add another tool to it, but this is an amazing free option. So you can actually find this on the WordPress repository, or you can go to Gutentor.com. I'm going to actually put this right in the chat so that everybody can get this. But Gutentor is a page building set of blocks for the Gutenberg or the block editor for WordPress. Now, many of you use page builders, whether it is Elementor or Beaver Builder or some other type of system. Yet those page builder systems require you to buy into their system, whereas one of the things Gutentor does is it allows you to buy into the WordPress default editor that now is becoming more prevalent in the marketplace. All right. So without further ado, and to spend any time, one of the best parts I think about WP Studio webinars is we just dive in and we work with the code. There's no other, we're not sales copy. Oh, that's the other thing. Since we're not sales copy, I can't sell you anything because this is free. Everything we're going to talk about today is free. They have an add-on for getting some additional templates, but don't worry about that. For the most part, you won't need it. But sure, you can go check it out, and I'll show you that later in the webinar. Okay, so here we are. I have a test website, which has just got some random content from other webinars we've done, and I have installed Gutentor. It's a simple plugin that if you go to your plugin directory and you do a search for Gutentor, do a little search, you will get the Gutentor page builder block thing. It's the orange item. All you do is activate from this point, and it will open up a menu area. And sure, and Chris, thank you for the encouragement, but yes, I normally will break something on the internet during a live webinar. Okay, so you get this little overview, but guess what? Because you're here at this webinar, you're not going to have to spend any time here because I'm going to show you all this stuff. You do have, I want to comment a little bit about the settings. Now, there are going to be some times where I say something that I'm guessing you have some implied understanding of how WordPress works from a deeper theme level, like template hierarchies, views, the loop, the query. If at any time I just say something off the cuff that you have no idea what I was just talking about, please put that in the chat and I can give you a quick human English language definition of what I just said. Because I say this because the settings in Gutentor is very helpful. And here's why. The same way page builders like Elementor and Beaver Builder and other things allow you to choose to add this type of an editor environment to other post types. See, we've created in other webinars like a book's custom post type, a test custom post type. That was in prior webinars. But here I can turn on and off all the Gutentor settings, all the blocks that would go with that. I can choose where and when they would show up. The other one I wanted you to show is this optimization. For those of you who love to make a fast website, one of the problems with a lot of page builders out there is they dump all of their JavaScript and their CSS directly onto the page. And that can make really large page loads. One of the things Gutentor allows you to do is you can do the same thing. I can dump all that stuff into the head, into the WP head. That's the section in the header. That's the hook, the WP head in WordPress. I can do that. That does make it easy for me to make rapid changes. Things don't get cached. I can constantly make tweaks and changes. So this is a great solution to keep all of your CSS, all your design work, put it into the head while you are developing the website. Then when you're ready, you can flip it over to a file. What that does is it takes all of the code that you used with the Gutentor page building system, all the different blocks, all the different designs, and I'm going to show you how complex you can get and how in-depth you can get. It dumps it into a file and then uses WP and Q scripts to add this as a regular style sheet. What this is a benefit for is now caching plugins can help alleviate the overhead of using a page builder system. So just wanted to show that here. If in the future, if after we do this webinar, some of you are like, hey, I want more Gutentor stuff. How do I build more complex stuff? We can go into that. But I wanted to show you just those two things. One, the general, how you can turn it on and off for certain custom post types, and then the optimization of whether the file or the head. So now, another thing that I need to talk about is, and what we're going to do is I have a page already set that is basically blank. And I'm going to move some of these meta boxes that come from the theme and other plugins. So what you should be looking at right now is our page editor, the Gutenberg or the block editor in WordPress, with nothing else. All I have is a title. I haven't done anything else. I wanted to leave it as clean as possible because there is some terminology you need to understand that may be somewhat similar to how the block editor Gutenberg calls things and also how other page builders call things. And it's this. With Gutentor, it's amazing that it's free because there's a huge library of pre-made content, but it's things like blocks versus templates versus kits versus patterns. So we are going to take just a moment to understand the terminology so that when we start building things, it makes sense. So first off, you should see that when you install the Gutentor plugin, two things show up in your, I'm going to call this my page canvas. This is the block editor. First, up at the top left, you get a big, huge Gutentor template library button. And on the top right, you have a Gutentor settings. So we're going to start here because this is going to help us understand some of the terminology. So when I click this, I'm presented with blocks, templates, template kits, patterns, and files. Now, the file thing, we're not going to really cover too much today, but this allows you, especially if you do design work, or maybe you've built an entire layout on a test site or a dev staging site, you can export out all your Gutentor settings, and then you can import it directly to another site. So it's a great thing, especially if you build some complex sites, or let's say you've got a bunch of clients and you've contacted a real estate agency and they want you to build individual sites for each one of their agents. Yet you may have certain standard pages that you're going to use for all of the real estate agents. This is a perfect way where on one of the sites you can design it, export it out, and then just pop that single page onto everybody's site. So there's kind of a cool little thing that you can do. Well, let's talk about the differences. Blocks are pre-designed straight blocks that if I insert this, it will insert it like a regular Gutenberg or a block editor block. This also means it's got multiple pieces. Maybe like this one is being image, there's a button, there's text, there's a header. I can edit those after I insert them. So you're not forced to have this as exactly what is here. But basically, blocks are pre-built. What's really nice about this is if you're doing lots of work, I can sit here and they've already categorized everything. So if I'm looking here and I need counters, is there a counter that is already set for me? Oh, let's take a look. Icon boxes. I need some icon boxes that might work. So I can run through here and find whatever I'm looking for. I'm going to give you a quick little example. Nice thing is I can preview each one of these. It will open up a preview window, and basically within a web page, I can see that this is what it would look like. All right. Then I can say, this is the one I want for the page I'm building, insert. So it's going to grab everything and it drops it right into my page. Now, remember how I said I can go change everything about this? Sure, I've got my image. I can edit image. I can come over here. I can edit my text over here. All of this is editable here inside, but the layout is already done. And I can also see, look, it's a singular, whether you call it a widget or a block, it's not going to be multiple elements. Now, we can turn around and transform this into columns and groups. So if I transform it into a group, then all of a sudden I can easily jump in here and move a few items. There's just a lot of stuff that we could edit these items. Let me just remove that so we can move on to the other items. So that's what a block is. Block is all these pre-made elements. And notice how, I just want to say this, notice how I haven't gone into the regular Gutenberg, the Gutenberg Gutentor blocks, which are all made. These are templates that are done for you to give you a head start. Kind of like how many of the page builder give you these templates to start with. So this is very helpful. Now, we can go to templates, and these are pre-made pages. Again, I can come over here, preview the whole page, and when it loads up, and hopefully it doesn't take forever to load, and we're stuck. Oh, there we are. We can see our whole page. So everything on this would be dumped into our page. For example, I insert this. It's going to download the block. Everything's being added, and it inserts. Notice how some of the stuff is, some of these things go all the way down here. I want to show you. These are some of our blog posts. It already knows how to fill in. It's not just going to dump their demo content. If you have certain blog posts that are part of this theme or the template, it's going to go ahead and grab those and add those in. Everything else is already built for you, but I can come over here, and here's all our layout, but I can come over here to our, let's say, template library, image slider. So that's when we come, see how it's all broken down. It lays it all out. So if all of a sudden I don't want the counter widget, I can come in here and just delete the counter widget from that template. It operates just like a regular page builder. But notice how we're definitely here in Gutenberg. All right, let me do a little thing for you. Now, here's a Gutenberg trick. And hopefully you guys learned this. If you have not started really working with the block editor and you're still with different page builders or still using the classic editor, this is a trick that if you walk away from this webinar learning nothing else, this is what you should learn. Shift-Alt-Z will remove or delete any of the selected elements. So if you open up your list view and I have this highlighted, I can just do Shift-Alt-Z and it will just start to delete, remove. So I don't have to try and find, okay, where's this one? How do I delete this one? Just come right over there. Boom. And that's, again, Shift-Alt-Z will remove any blocks so you don't have to figure out what's going on. So then we can get back to our blank slate. All right. So I showed you templates. That's pretty simple. Template kits. This is, let's say you have a client who needs a quick website, get it really front and center. Maybe you don't have the time to design them a full-blown website. And you say, you know what? Let's see what they have. Hey, this template kit comes with a home page, an about page, and a contact page. All set. It's all designed, has the same type of typography that might be working with, same type of color schemes that might be working with. It's basically a universal way of, here's my set, here's my site. It's all set. Everything should flow, all the different pages. Paul, great question. Paul's asking the question, what if I accidentally delete something and want something back? Well, great question. So let me show you what's going to happen. Let me go over here. Let me remove this. So let's say we're sitting here and we are typing something awesome. And then we're like, oh, wait, that wasn't very awesome. Let me just Shift-Alt-Z. It's gone. Then you're like, oh, my goodness, no, that was awesome. Up here on the top is an undo, or hit Control-Z. So I can hit Control-Z. It's going to add my awesome text back. And any of the elements or blocks that you delete, that's how easy it is to get back. Now, if you hit save and update and leave the page, you can't go backwards. So that's just a word of warning. All right, let's go to the template library. Finally, template kits that can give you a full-blown site. Your patterns, these are predefined patterns for maybe I have different types of buttons. What about different queries for how I'm laying out items? Basically, these are fairly new to WordPress. The whole patterns idea really was pushed out with WordPress 5.8, so I expect more and more stuff to come here. Now, everything I've just shown you from this template library, 100% free. You do not need a membership to download anything. There is a premium template library where they have additional stuff that you could pay for, but as you see, there's a lot there. Now, let's deal with the other aspect we're doing. So, as a side question, Chris is asking, what software am I using to get these great comments on the screen? I am using BeLive right now. So maybe in the future we can do a webinar on how to do a webinar. How about that? or how to do a live broadcast on a live broadcast, and we'll get one of those really weird meta things going. All right. Thank you for Chris for dropping me into a rabbit trail that I tend to always fall into. So, since Gutentor can get you started, here's the power of Gutentor. By default, the block editor, the default Gutenberg editor for WordPress, has very basic stylings of things. For example, if I come here, and let's just use a paragraph tag, or no, let's do this. Let's do a heading. So here's a heading. Oops. Heading in Gutenberg block editor. So this, I'm looking over here, and I come over here to my block. So what type of styling can I do? Oh, I can do a default, or I can do custom pixels. I can do line heights. Great. I can do color, and then the permissions and other things. That's I can do advanced. So I can set an HTML anchor and set a CSS class. What about if I want to do margins, padding, spacing, anything beyond just the simple editing area? I would normally have to use a whole bunch of additional plugins out there. And yes, there are some great tools. But one of the things you'll find with Gutentor is, as I said, there was another button over here that was added where I can add my own color palette, so that if you know your client's color palettes of their website, we can set it up here. Just add whatever colors you need for their color palette. And, you know, because I'm so amazing in my color understanding of the world, we can just add our colors. And that way, these colors will get interspersed in the rest of Gutenberg. So if I came over here and say text color, guess what? All of these are going to come, and I can get custom colors as well. So we can pull color palettes here. I can also set default typography for heading 1. What do we want to do? I can run that. I can set default colors, default container widths, and I can disable the wide editor if I want to use the more traditional Gutenberg as well, the old way. All right, just wanted to show you that, because when we start opening up the door and saying, you know, if we are using the block editor, Gutenberg, with this Gutentor, how can I really control the design and style of a site, aka a real page builder? So here's the issue. And all the blocks the Gutentor plugin adds to the block editor will always be orange. So you'll see Gutentor elements, Gutentor modules, Gutentor posts, Gutentor terms, Gutentor widgets. And then the rest of the things are generated by either WordPress or other blocks, other plugins that are out there. So it's really easy to know exactly what's going on. So when I look at this Gutentor, I can see basically these are simple things that you'd normally see in block editors, in page builders. But I can come in and I can start to say, you know what? I need to do some columns here. So I can come in here and I have my columns, but here's the benefit. Notice how when I am selecting, I can click over here. Here's my columns. I can select each individual column. Hopefully you're looking on the right-hand side so you can see some of the cool things that are happening. When I select the dynamic columns, so that would be for the whole row. Sure, I've got a very simple setting here for how many columns do you want to use, and do you want them to always have a column height so that if there's a small picture and a large picture, we won't start another row until all of them. It's just a good way to make things look more uniform. But there's an advanced section. Look at what I now have. I can set this to have a CSS ID. A CSS ID allows us to easily link to different anchor sections of a page. So that's great. I can also say what type of a wrapper tag am I going to use? Is it a HTML section? Is it a div? Am I putting article tags around there? So there's some great HTML5 stuff. Am I putting a background behind this whole row? Am I going to enable a height? And the great thing is I could do percentages. I could do pixels height. I can do also the viewport height. So based on the actual viewport of the browser, I can set that. And I can set all of them for my desktop, my tablet, and my mobile phone. I can also come in here and deal with margins and padding. This is all this stuff that is missing from the actual block editor to make a real page builder. So I have the access for the margins and the padding, the borders. I can even put border radiuses in here. I can run box shadows in here. I can have block shapes. So I can put SVG and I can turn the whole thing into a really dynamic looking element. I can handle custom positioning. Where are we going to do it? Is it static, relative, absolute, fixed? For those of you who love designing and building out a page, and you feel like you're constrained by what either a page builder does or what the actual block editor offers, this gives you all the things that you would normally be doing if you were writing your own page templates in PHP and using template tags and writing your HTML and writing your own JavaScript. This is all there. I can have the Z index. I can move things up and down. I can choose animation for these items. I could choose that this thing will come in and what delay or what duration. See, I'm already adding JavaScript into this without actually adding JavaScript. I can remove space from the container, from the row, from the column. So that means if there is extra space between it, we'll have it all taken care of. And again, I can put direct CSS in here, which only gets attached into this block area. Why is that important? First thing, what if I sit here and I use something like our Members Fork plugin at WP Studio, and I say, only show this block to logged in users. Now, if I have a whole bunch of CSS, which is doing some cool stuff with this row, and I'm hiding it from people who are not logged in, why should I load the CSS, which would be part of either in the child theme of a theme or in the customizer? Why should I load that if this is not loading? So I can now wrap a CSS to only go with this. It's basically a way to conditionally load CSS only if a certain block is run. So I show you all these different options, but guess what? Even this area, I get the same type of advanced options. I can just dive in. So this idea of now having immense amounts of control without having to go to the code. That, sure, it might take a little bit of time to feel like, hey, this is where you need to go, or this is what you need to do. It might take some time to figure that out. But once you figure it out, I think people would move pretty fast. And again, you're in default block editor. Freedom Ventures, I just saw your question about does this play nice with ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg? Absolutely. Basically, and I'll show you a few other add-ons we'll use, not specifically the ultimate add-ons for Gutenberg, but here, I'll show you one right now. The team, Tom Osborne behind Generate Press, he released a really awesome plugin for those of you who work with Gutenberg, or sorry, the block editor, And what he offered was basically just 4 items: generate blocks. This container is awesome because this container allows me to come in here and set, with this container alone, I now can handle layouts, typography, background shapes, colors, spacing, several of the things that I could do with the other container. But let's say you're more used to using the generate press, the generate block add-on. So let me just show you this. I'm using this container from Generate Press. I can come in here and just say, all right, I'm going to plop the About widget from Gutentor inside. So now I've got that going on in here. Or I could put another item. So I'd have the ability to just, they're all treated as blocks. That's what makes it nice, which means it's going to work perfectly fine with any other add-on you already use for the block editor. All right, so let me remove that. Hopefully that answers that question. All right. So we have things that are already built for you: dividers, simple text, advanced text, buttons, counter, Google Maps, advanced list, images, icons, pricing, progress bar, ratings, and video pop-ups. Video pop-ups is one of the last things that they've added. Really nice feature. Why? Because you can choose where you're hosting the video and how you want to do it. What is the default pop-up holder? Are you going to use an icon? What's the box setting? Are we going to use it in animation? So if I preview this and we take a look at our little preview, it's going to automatically pop up a video. So it's that simple to make things like this right here in the regular block editor. Now, you then have, so these Gutenberg elements are basically single elements. They're not going to be heavily designed, multi-tiered elements inside each other. The modules are ones that do advanced things and have multiple systems. So for like, if I put my tabs in here, basically I'm going to have my tab 1, tab 2, tab 3, and over here on our basic options, notice how I can quickly choose the different types of tab designs, tabs, what's going to happen. Are we putting icons on them, enabling the icons? So then I can come in here, and if I click on this little tab here, basically I would have to just type in my tab and work. I can also come over here and we grab this single tab item, go to tab settings. Oops, no. So basically when I'm clicking this tab and I come over here and add an item, a counter widget or something, notice how it then went underneath the single tab. If I come over here to this tab item, notice how I can come over here. Oops, let me select this tab item. There. So I've selected this tab item. Then I come over, add the block. Hello, add a block. And we'll add a heading. This is a heading. Great. Notice how this is how I can tell what's happening. And I'm able to build within the block editor, which we really couldn't do before, these in-depth or multi-level, multi-tiered areas. And I'm also able to edit them at another time because I can come back in, find this tab. It will then show me this. I can click on this. Basically, this is an active area of development, if that makes sense. That's what I'm calling it. Somebody else might call it something else. But this is active inside the Gutenberg or the block editor so that I can just move around, click the tabs, and do something more advanced. All right, let's come over here. So that's what these modules are. They have multiple levels, but the modules are active. So if I create a slider or something, this is, I work from within here. Edit the single slide. What image am I doing? Whatever. I would drop an image in there. I would do something else. And then I can add another slide down here. So our page would be an active editing element, point and click, move around, drag and drop, how a normal page builder would work, but now it's in the regular block editor. All right, let me just remove this slider so we can just keep the screen clean a little bit. All right. So that's the difference between the elements, kind of single items, the modules, more advanced. I'll come back to this area. And we go down to our widgets. These are the kind of pre-built designs that will give you the ability to upload your image, set your price tag. It'll all handle in here. Yes, we can come over here to our block title, block items. This is the difference. These, what do they call them? These widgets have over here pre-designed styles. These are called patterns, and you'll start to see them a lot more in WordPress now that WordPress 5.8 has come. It's inside a block. You can have specific designs inside or layouts inside the block. So when I'm going to edit on this block, my little whatever menu item that I have, over here on my there's a template. When I click this, it opens and turns into the ability for me to say, no, let's do that one. Notice how that title moves to the right. Everything gets centered. And I can enter in different icon, the currency, columns, price, quantity. See how that adds that in. We can always edit those. But so now we have design templates inside blocks. All of this is hopefully giving you, the designer, the developer, the assembler, whatever you call yourself, a greater head start on what to build. So you got your singles, your more complex elements, and your widgets, which are pre-style, which sometimes have multiple types of stylings. See, I can actually see what it looks like, my Google Maps, my social widget links, no preview, my progress bar, my gallery widgets, pricing widgets, all sorts of things. Now, this is another area, and this is where we're getting into the page builder system, and I'm going to show you the one area that Gutentor falls flat, but I found a solution. So I can come in here and I can basically create a new blog post page, or like kind of the archive page of all my blog posts. And I have a regular one. I have a post type with different features where I can choose the layout. I'll take a look at this in just a moment. And actually, let's delete all these items from here so we're going to make this into a new, we'll turn this into our blog post page. All right. So we're going to come in here and we are going to use, we'll just start a first post type. So here's my blog post page where we've got content. Remember how I said these items in Gutenberg have these great little templates where I can say, all right, do I want to do list view? Do I want to do post layout? All right, now I can come over here, click the template, and I can choose, let's try this. So what's that going to look? Is that going to change? This moved a lot of the meta information up over the image. Maybe let's center it. Oh, let's make the image go everything and then drop this in. But then I can do a mini query where I can say, hey, are we going to select from the posts or pages? Maybe your custom post types you're using. Do we want to sort by taxonomy type, bring those in by date? Do I want to include posts, exclude posts, number of items? Do I want to offset? So if I just say, hey, I only want, let's do 4. So that's 4. And I only want columns of 2. So now here's our posts for, let's change it. I don't like the overlay one. Let's put this back. So we got something like this going on. And again, Now I could do element sorting. Do I want to sort by a featured image, or do I want to sort by certain things? Do I want to enable post formats to show up? Maybe I'm using the old WordPress post formats. My badge icons. Oh, hey, that badge is putting the category on there. Do I want to include the avatar of the writer of this post? Do I want to do whatever I want to do? I can slowly begin to customize. So here's what we can then do from this point. If I've got my post, I can update this. Now, this is where we use the power of WordPress to build our page. Come over here to our reading, and I can say, you know what? Our blog post is now going to use our Gutentor page. So save the changes, come back over here, and now our blog post page, oops. Did I not save Gutentor? Oh, I know what's happening. Hold on. This is from another webinar. See, I think I have other views going on. Interesting. We'll set the home page as sample. Is that the page we used? Did we do Gutentor? Yeah, there's our post page. So we view the post page. Why are we still? Oh, I know what we're doing. All right. VocePress is actually overwriting this that we did from yesterday's webinar. So I have 4 things overwriting each other. I probably should have cleaned that out. All right, let's just drop in. Let's flop over. We'll flop over to a different theme. All right. I would have to now reset this. But let's go back over here. So Gutentor can do all the, let's go back to our Gutentor page. So this is what it would look like. We would lay out our content, and we would be able to see, let me, yes. Shows the latest post. Oh, I also know we're caching as well, so probably need to turn off the caching plugin. All right, so once I've done this, I am able to build a new type of blog, an archive page for the blog, the posts, custom post type. I can even come in here. Let's say if let me delete this one, just show you there's 2 or 3 other ways of us building a blog post or a query loop. I can do an advanced one where I can say, how do I want to display the content? So I could say, you know what, let's do this. Now, I don't have enough content in here, but notice how you've got a large, small, 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 and you get 4. But so there are some really cool ways that you could offset something. So maybe this is at the top of your web page. Here, let's change this and fix it. Let's come over here. Let me just delete this so we'll get a new choice. Oh, 1 second. Now I'm overlapping. Okay, post type. So let's just do something where I can do like 3 here. So here's my blog, the top of my blog post. I could do 1, 2, 3, and then below that, I can then add another one, which would be our regular post type. And I can now say I want a list, but now we're going to offset by 3. So by offsetting, we get different, we pick up where these left off. So without too much effort, we can start to create archive pages using this. And we can even do more. Let me show you one more thing that they do offer. We come back over here. Sure, you can do a post type carousel. You can do a post type news ticker, a duplex. This advanced post type is really nice for building an archive page. Why? I am given a title and a subheading area. Then I'm given a terminology which will allow me to sort through and flip through this type of information. Actually, let me show you what that would mean. If I go to, because I've got it running on WP Studio, very simple, that if we want to see every blog post for plugins, great. What about tutorials? It'll show me all the blog posts for tutorials. What about things for WordPress? Great. It'll show me things for WordPress. So I'm able to build these archive landing pages. But here is where it falls down. In WordPress, if you are only doing pages and posts, you'd be perfectly fine. Why? Yes, the dog was definitely distracting. Because if we are building, basically every post type needs to have a singular post, which is basically you can easily design, or an archive, which is a listing of those posts within that post type. When we talk about our blog posts, we can handle that here with the archive page. Pages do not have archives. So therefore, they're not built to have archive pages. But when we create our own custom post types, whether you're using a custom post type creator, a plugin, MetaBox pods, whatever, we need a way to install or basically do the same thing here. Assign a page that we build. So this would be, let's pretend we are, I don't think I have any content in any of the other things, but let's come over here. Let's say now I want to do books. I have no posts in books. And do I have anything in tests? No posts. Well, if I had tests, if I had content in there, it would auto-populate, and now I'm using this post type. So I could then, if this is what Gutentor needs, I need a way to assign this page I just designed as the archive page for one of my custom post types. If that doesn't make sense, I would encourage you to watch some of our pods webinars where we talk about singular and archive page templates and how that works with WordPress and how it dynamically creates content or generates the display of content. Well, guess what? There is a tool you can use. It is called Custom Query Blocks, built by our friend Ron. I've known him for a long time. You can activate this, and it does something very special, especially if you use custom post types. When I now go to the reading section, I now can map the archive page of custom post types, and I can map it to, whatever page I've built. So this allows me to use the regular WordPress block editor to design and style archive pages using tools like that those post things that will auto-generate and pull all the content into a page and design it, do however you want. This is now a way that we can process these dynamically created archive pages. And I didn't have to go to any code in the theme. I don't have to use template tags. I don't have to assign them. So that is one of the things that custom query blocks brings to the table if you are using something like our Gutentor to, build your entire site. So the final thing I will let you know is it is understandable if you look at all of the elements, all the blocks that are created with Gutentor, this can be overwhelming, especially if you are building a site for a client and maybe you're teaching them how to use the editor to write blog posts or to write updates, to write news items for the internal intranet or whatever they're building. So sometimes you might be saying, you know what, they do not need all these things. Maybe they just need 2 or 3 elements. Well, Gutenberg does try and make it a little bit easier because I can come in here and turn on and off. Okay, they don't need the counter. They don't need the progress bar, the rating. They might be using something else, but it goes beyond that because I can turn off the modules, the terms, the widgets, everything that they deal with, you can turn on and off. In the same way, just as a side note, you can do that with regular Gutenberg, with the regular block editor, because I can come in here to my settings and I can come to the block manager. And sure, I could run through here and do everything. But you may find it just easier working before you even get to this place to turn it on or off. And by turning it on or off in the actual settings of Gutentor, you're going to remove the load time, especially in this editor, because that can get overwhelming at times if you have tons and tons of plugins all trying to load all of their blocks. So we don't want repeat blocks or things like that. So this is just a quick overview. I wanted to stay under an hour for this webinar. I hope it makes a lot of sense how this is a great solution if you're starting to get used to the Gutenberg or the block editor in WordPress. And part of the reason it's free. And yes, Gutenberg can save blocks for reuse later, and you can also export out blocks that you built, and you can import them over to other sites. There's lots of things that you can do with this. I did say that there is a premium thing. There is a Gutenberg templates, so they do sell a lot of advanced templates, designs, but as you saw, for the most part, you can get by with almost everything as a starting platform. So I bring this to your attention because, especially as I'm watching some of the page builders get more and more expensive each year for renewal, I'm always looking for something that would do similar things, that would still give you all the columns, the widths, the design, and whatever you need, as well as being future-proof, because Gutentor is built on the block editor of WordPress. If you are enjoying these type of free webinars we've been doing this week, last week, the prior week here at WP Studio, I would encourage you, please subscribe to the channel. I think we are almost at 700 subscribers. So definitely subscribe. Feel free to send these videos off to anybody else that you want. I do all these just for free. If you are interested in more advanced stuff that we do, WP Studio is finally back open for business. In terms of, we've always been open, and my lifetime members have been around for a long time, been attending the events. There are over 350 hours or more of videos, webinars that we've been doing for a long time. I'd encourage you to check it out. We're back open. You can come over here. If you're not logged in, you're going to see a join now, and you can pop on over to the membership. And right now there is a coupon. And this is the first time I've ever opened up monthly membership. And so just let you know. And if you ever have any questions, you can send me an email at benjamin@wpstudio.com, whether it be a question about WordPress, a question about living on a boat, a question about, our dog. Feel free, reach out. I'll try and respond as soon as possible. And don't forget, tomorrow we got another free webinar where I am going to walk through all sorts of things with the brand new WordPress 5.8, which landed yesterday. So take care. I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. I hope I see you guys tomorrow. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, or if you're on Facebook, let people know or give me a thumbs up on the video if you're enjoying these. And if you have any ideas for future webinars that you're like, hey, I wish somebody would talk about this, let me know, and I'll see if I can build a webinar for you. So take care. Have a great rest of the day, and I'll see you hopefully on future webinars.